Magandang araw ulit, guys and gals, and to our non-binary pals out there. Medyo matagal tayong nag-hiatus sa mga paglalabas ng videos dahil medyo nagpahinga tayo ng konti at medyo naging busy. But recently, merong isang topic na nag-trending sa social media at I guess lahat ng lahat ng news sources nilabas ito at ang daming taong na-trigger. At ito yung isang artista na after sa kanyang pagganap sa isang supposedly historical na historical movie, ang sinabi niyang lesson na nakuha niya dun sa pagganap niya bilang isang political person ay ito yung kanyang sinabi. I-quote natin, "History is like chismis. It is filtered and dagdag na rin. So, hindi natin alam what is the real history. Andoon na yung idea, pero may mga bias talaga. As long as we're here alive at may kanya-kanyang opinion, I respect everyone's opinion." Oh no, di ba? I feel so konyo with that quote. But here's the thing, let's give her credit for at least identifying the fact that history is indeed subjective. Diba? Lahat naman tayo, pag may binabasa, even when we're reading history, or when we're hearing history, even passively na nakikinig at nagbabasa lang tayo, meron tayong subjective point of view. And ganun din sa mga manunulat at mga nagsasalaysay ng history, they will have their own personal point of views and biases that may bleed in. Diba? So, ganun talaga. And that is true of all human experience. Kasi lahat naman ng human experience, ang punto de vista lang na available sa atin, yung sarili nating punto de vista. That automatically makes everything kind of subjective. Diba? Even something like gravity, physics. Diba? We experience gravity subjectively. Depende kung gaano kabigat yung katawan mo. So, kung nahulog ka, kung nadapa ka, or, depende kung paano yung distribution ng mass sa katawan mo, kung top heavy ka, bottom heavy, you'll experience gravity very differently. And ganun talaga Ganun talaga yung human experience. And the way we view things, like history, is also like that. We will have a tendency to view ourselves or the people we identify with more favorably than the people we don't. Diba? So, let's say for example, iba ang pagkaturo ng World War II sa Japan kaysa sa pagturo dito sa atin. Diba? I'm pretty sure Japan do not although recently medyo nagkakaroon na siya ng pagbabago, there was a time na meron talagang hindi pagtanggap sa kanilang pagkakamali during World War II. It's only happening lately, but that also tells you that through time, history tends to correct itself. Diba? As the more detached you are from a specific point in time, then there's tendency to be more objectivity as far as history is concerned. Also, pagdating sa history, yung sinasabi nila na chismis daw ang history, totoo na meron pang time ng tinatawag natin prehistory na yung mga tao hindi pa marunong mag-record at magsulat, wala pang written way of recording. So, tinatawag natin yan na prehistory. Pero may tao na nun at medyo may mga konti tayong alam na naipasa orally from then hanggang ngayon, and meron tayong nakikitang mga ebidensya to confirm or deny yung mga naipasa orally. Now, history, kaya nga tinatawag na prehistory yun dahil hindi talaga naitala yung history ng panahon na yun. But we can still see evidence that either confirm or deny those things. So, ang sinasabi natin, even history has changed. And history itself, by itself, is a very subjective thing. History only means something to humans. Diba? It's the story of the world through the eyes of humans. Eh, nung magkaroon ng mga alien civilization, di ba? Iba yung tingin nila dyan. Yung mga hayop, wala naman silang pakialam sa history natin. Actually, the Earth itself doesn't really, for all intents and purposes, doesn't really, for the Earth, tayo, we're barely, yung sandali pa lang tayo sa mundo as humans. So, even history in itself is very self-serving, kumbaga. So, meron talagang subjectivity ang history. Uh, and yung ang oral tradition can be used as source material for history. Dahil hindi naman tayo palaging, nung unang panahon, wala tayong way para magsulat eh. Hindi pa na-invento yung pagsusulat nun or mga papel or yung nagpe-painting, sinusulat sa bato or whatever. Diba? So, there is an argument that oral tradition is part of history. But still, history is not mere chismis. Chismis, what it means is basically unconfirmed rumors. And history, which has also evolved through time, has become a more rigorous process. And kaya nga nag-react yung mga ano natin eh. And hindi naman sila nag-react dun sa subjectivity ng pagtanaw sa history. Ang nagre-react sila is yung mismong pagsabi na is like chismis. Because history in its current form is no longer just about chismis. When we see evidence and when we get enough detachment from point in time about history, we can later on find evidence to either confirm or deny the things we passed on with oral tradition, diba? So it's a bit more of a rigorous process. So to say na chismis lang yan, ang history ay chismis, even is parang like lang, di ba? Is like chismis, is parang mong dinismiss yung buong pag-aaral, sangay na pag-aaral tungkol sa history na it's a very rigorous process. I'm not a historian, but I have a lot of respect for people who do a lot of research and reading and a lot of work to get to a very accurate, to the most possible accurate na history natin. Now, history does change. Kasi nga, pag may nakitang ebidensyang bago, pwedeng magbago. And even yung let's say for example, yung history of World War II. Nung earlier on, even the Japanese have their own version of World War II na hindi sila portrayed as the bad guys. And of course, dun naman sa history natin dito sa Pilipinas, or for example, history ng West tungkol sa World War II, syempre, Japan was painted in a bad light. And at the same time, hindi rin malinis ang history ng United States pagdating sa World War II dahil ang ginawa naman nila ng World War II, nung palapit yung World War II, ikinulong naman nila lahat ng Japanese people of Japanese descent sa tawag dito sa Estados Unidos. So hindi rin sila talaga fully blameless dun sa mga iba-ibang pangyayari ng World War II. But all these things come to light and are viewed in a different way later on, di ba? So, history should always be viewed no. How do I say this? History will always be viewed subjectively. However, history is also subject to a rigorous process and eventually perceptions change depending on new facts or new evidence that comes up. So, hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na chismis lang yan. Yun lang naman. Now, at its core, itong problemang ito na history is chismis and bias and subjective, it boils down to the core conflicting ideas of subjectivism and objectivism. Diba? Ang subjectivism, ang sinasabi niya, lahat ng bagay ay subjective. And it's anything holds meaning only on the viewer. So parang the only real meaning is given by the viewer or the person experiencing it, which is kind of true. But at the same time, there is this objective reality that we all live in. Otherwise, there's really no point for us to talk or to communicate if there is no objective reality for us to base our personal observations on. 'Di ba? So diyan yung core nung argument na yan eh. 'Di ba? Ang history is experienced subjectively, but it must always be based on something objectively. Gets? So hindi siya basta chismis, hindi basta yung ito yung opinion ko. Respetuhin mo, hindi siya ganoon. Ha? There still has to be an objective basis for something to be considered as part of history. Hindi pwedeng opinion mo lang, history na yan. Hindi po ganun yun. The same way that the sciences work, yung sinasabi natin, di ba? Isaac Newton, na-discover niya raw supposedly yung gravity nung nabagsakan siya ng manzana sa ulo. Di ba? He experienced something very subjective and from there made an observation, an objective observation that can be confirmed by the personal experience of other scientists. Ganon din po sa history. Hindi siya basta kung ano yung feeling mo, yun na yun. Diba? Kailangan ma-confirm din ng ibang tao and go through a rigorous process of study and work before it is even considered history. Again, ang sinasabi ko, ang history nag-evolve din along with humanity and it's becoming a more rigorous and more strict process as it goes along. Noong unang panahon, hindi tayo marunong mag-record ng history and then eventually, dahan-dahan, we form that branch of study and it becomes a more rigorous process. Hindi po chismis yan. Yan po ay ganyan ang evolution ng dunong ng tao. Yan lang po ang aking 2 cents, 2 sentimo sa issue na ito. Hindi po tayo trying to be political or trying to bash an artist or a director. We're just trying to point things out and then boiling things down to its core principle. Maraming salamat. Thank you. Hanggang sa susunod.